of the dynamic stretching moves that I've come up with that I feel work on roller skates. It's not comprehensive by any means, but just a few things that I have found to work, and I'm going to explain them and show the format and stuff. All right, so the first thing I like to do is a rolling lunge. If we face this way, I'll roll down. The goal is to get a stretch, in the back leg. So you want to lean forward so that you really feel a stretch in the back leg. Make sure the knee is not going beyond the toe. So if that's happening, just roll the foot forward. And then I do an overhead reach when I do this. So it's all about leaning forward gently and slowly and doing the overhead reach. So if I do it rolling, it looks a little something like this. So roll forward, stretch forward, stand up on the front leg, then on the other side. Roll forward, stretch forward, stand up on the other side. The goal is to do, somewhere between 5 and 10. What I like to do is usually there's a crack on the ground and another crack or a line on the ground, and I use those as guides and say, go from crack to crack or line to line to determine how many you do. Once again, the goal is to do it nice and slow. We're not rushing this at all. We don't want to strain any muscles. We want to just move the joints. It's more about the joints than the muscles. And you don't want to see any bouncing or, you don't really want to slide into it because you might strain your muscle. Take everything nice and slow. So the next one that I usually do after that is another lunge. But instead of doing an overhead reach, what I do is whatever leg is forward, you take the same arm, reach down, and bring the elbow to the inside of the ankle, and then come up. And on this side, down, elbow to the inside of the ankle, and come up. What's nice about this one is when you reach down, you really feel it in the hip of the front leg. I also tend to feel it in the shoulder as well, so it kind of works a couple of areas. So it's another rolling lunge that you can do in addition to the overhead. You can also do a rolling lunge where you twist over the front leg and then twist over the front leg. Everything nice and slow and fluid. All right, another thing I like to do is a squat with a reach, and there's 2 versions that you can do. The idea is you really want to drop your butt, so when you're squatting, drop your butt to the ground and touch the ground. That way, we're working these get low joints, our hip joints that help us get into derby position. So squat down, and then you can reach directly overhead. And I tend to do about 10 of these, nice and slow. The other version of it is drop down and then turn to the side. So what I do is I balance on the back toe stop and reach out over the front side. And then drop, overhead. So again, the goal, if you see people doing this, they're not doing enough. Really drop the butt so that they're getting the hips and the knees in that one. A new one that I just learned that I really like and find is really easy on skates is a high knee walk followed by a low walk. So what you do is pretend there's a hurdle right next to you, lift your knee, lift your other knee like you're going over the hurdle, then squat down, step, step, up, lift the knee, down, step, step. So maybe do 5 one way and then 5 the other way. This one's really easy. No real balance elements involved. We do a lot of lateral movements, so I like to do a lateral dynamic stretch. So what I do generally is do a lateral lunge, touch the ground. The idea is to get the stretch right on your inner thigh, and I push off this leg and stand back up again. For me, it's easiest to do one side and then the other. So I tend to do 5 at least on one side, and down, up, down, back up, and then I'll do 5 on the other side. Take this nice and slow. This takes a little more balance. But the more you do it, the better you'll get. And make sure you're really feeling that stretch in there. For those who can balance, pull your knee up to your chest. And it really doesn't take much balance. But what you do is you just grab the bottom of the knee pad, pull up. Bottom of the knee pad, pull up. So usually about 10 of these I like to do. super crazy, do a lateral version of it. This is always important to do the lateral side. Takes a little more balance. You pull, you know, bring that into the stretch to hold on to, but it's just gets those muscles and those joints warmed up in the lateral side. And then, of course, the yo-yo. Get us ready for blocking. So a slow version of the yo-yo, bend the knees, drop the butt, touch the opposite foot on the outside, roll the shoulder back. I tend to just go on the same side for 10. Take it nice and slow. Make sure people aren't leading with their elbows. We don't want to create bad habits. So lead, make it a shoulder roll, then do the other side, make it a shoulder roll. And these are all movements we do all the time, which is why it's important to warm them up. So that's the yo-yo. There's one I like to do on the ground if we're going to do transitions a lot, because we do a lot of internal and external rotation for transitions. So what I do, start with this leg, and I will externally rotate the hip 10 times. So you want to make sure you're not just turning the ankle, but you're turning the whole hip. Not a huge movement, but it does kind of wake up those external rotators of your hip. So I do about 10 of those. Then I'll bring this leg back, bring this leg out, and do the internal rotators of the opposite leg. Do that for about 10. Just make sure you're moving the whole leg from the hip all the way to the ankle. Then flip around, externally rotate this leg for 10, and then internally rotate this leg. And I usually end with a nice arm roll. Kick it old school with this one. And just make sure that our shoulders are nice and warm. Go the other way. Just do that for a few seconds. So that's my basic list of dynamic stretches. I'm always looking to expand and get new ideas, but I find that these ones work really well on roller skates, so it's a nice base to start with.